Welcome to the Life is Good podcast, where we explore the transformative power of healing, delve into real stories of resilience, and uncover the wisdom that lies within all of us. Each episode is a journey towards a life that is truly good, and I am honored to have you with me on this path to self-discovery and growth. I welcome you and I thank you. Today, I have the opportunity to sit with someone whose gift into the world is the medicine of sound. And by that, I mean the internal sound, our internal sound, our internal voice, which of course is directly related to our power of expression into the world, our power of authenticity and showing up as our true selves into the world. I also had the pleasure to do a workshop with him not long ago, and just by following his lead, I was able to open up different parts of my body, of my system. I was able to open up the heart more, and I was able to open up the throat chakra, where the truth, the power of self-expression lies. So I thank him for that, and I thank him for being on the show. Welcome, Stefan Evans, the sound alchemist. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for inviting me into your home. Actually, we are here at your place, this beautiful dome, which is like a sound temple. Can I say that? Yeah. It's full of instruments and Tibetan bowls and magic and love. Would you like to say something to the world about yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. So, thanks for the opportunity of being on your podcast.
Of course.
We met on Lion's Gate.
We met on Lion's Gate, yeah.
On Lion's Gate, which was 8/8.
It's
the
8th
of August.
Yeah. So not long ago.
23, yeah, just recently. And then I got introduced to you as somebody who works with vocal activation. And then we went on to play and drink lots of cacao and sit around the fire together, and we both managed to share some songs at different times.
Right.
Really beautiful. And then here we are. I had the pleasure of serving my first ever workshop, my vocal activation workshop, which is called Your Voice.
That was your first?
It's the first workshop I ever made.
Right.
And I've been conducting that for a year now.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the pleasure to sit in another ceremony,
That's right.
a shamanic ceremony, which was very powerful as well, heart-opening.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and that was with Isla.
Yeah.
Very wonderful person.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, thanks for having us.
Of course, yeah. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So you're doing, as we already said, or as we already mentioned, you work with sound.
Yeah.
That's the medicine you're bringing into the world. And I'm very curious, like, how did you start doing that? What determined you? What led you to believe that this is, or to know that this is your gift?
So it's a really long story. So I just intersect into it a little bit.
Okay.
So it started when I was 15, 16, living in Derbyshire in the UK, where I'm from originally, sort of central England.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I was this sort of age that I started having like a lot of sort of downloads and a lot of spiritual, maybe not even spiritual is the right word, but a lot of information coming to me, and it felt like I was just really open to the universe as well. And all
At 15?
Yeah, 15 going into 16, all this stuff started coming, and all this information. And I loved music. I always have done. I was listening to a lot of like rock and roll music at this time. Bands like Nirvana and Marilyn Manson and stuff like this, like a bit darker end. I really loved it, and still do. It came to me, so I was playing a lot with me and my friend Dan Bell, we'd be practicing together, like a little garage band set up kind of stuff, and just making songs up.
Yeah.
Neither of us were particularly trained, but we would just jam and just make songs on the spot, and we made about 7 or 8 albums. So
No way.
Just taping it onto small cassette.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just me and him, and it was very loose. And then I knew within myself, in one hand, I was gonna work with sound and music, and in the other hand, I was gonna help save the world. It was the words that were coming through. When I was like 16, I was like, well, I'm gonna really do something here. And around the same sort of time, I remember it as being like a voice kind of came into my head, and it's when I was thinking, I'm gonna work with this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And the voice kind of came into my head, and it was like, wait until you have something real to say. Yeah.
Mm.
And then me being 16-year-old was like looking at the world around me, looking at the bands around me, the music situation around me, and it didn't feel good, And there was like bands would come and they'd make a really good album or two and then just disappear.
Yeah.
Get into like lots of drugs and kind of break up, and then I'm looking at my heroes like Jim Morrison, Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, all these people who were like incredibly talented and hit the bottle, hit the drugs, music industry, and like singing kind of a lot of sadness into the world, as well as, all free expression. I was just like, is this where I'm supposed to go? And something in me was just like, no. So I put a blocker on it and kind of stepped back away from sharing my gifts, which would be my voice and music, until I got to 36, when I was going through like a massive breakdown in my life. I was dying, like in all kinds of different ways. And that's when I decided to head over to India at the beginning of my 3rd year of studying fine art in London. I went over to India to finish my art degree and to find a new life, or my old life, if you like.
This was when you were 36.
This is when I was
20 years after that initial
20 yeah. And so that was the big change. Basically, it felt like I put a block on it, and that lasted for 20 years, which just built guilt and shame around my voice, around my music. Like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it built up an incredible amount of fear around my voice and around sharing music and around my gifts with music. A lot of fear and guilt. And then it got to the age of 36 where I started tapping into that and being able to access it.
Yeah. Very beautiful and a bit sad in the same time. Yeah. But also resonates with me a bit as well. So I would like to ask you, like, during these 20 years, obviously you were in your 20s and then early 30s, did you feel like were you focused on any sort of healing? Would you say we were on a healing journey or a spiritual journey at all, or were you just part of the world, like the, day-to-day regular material world?
I definitely wasn't part of like the normal society or normal world. I was quite removed from it.
Okay.
I was very sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, I see.
Like really sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So I'd be going out to like concerts all the time, to gigs, to festivals and stuff like that. And I would be, rather than a healing journey, I was more of a destructive journey. Yeah, self-destructive journey for sure. Yeah, and I was just like, I look back and I didn't have an off switch. So I would go and I would be like, the first one to kind of get on it, drugs and alcohol and stuff like this, and be like, all the different types of drugs I was taking, a lot of the time. And, and then the night would be going on and people would get to sleep and I'd just be like, it's still going, sunrise coming up. I'd be still like reaching for another bottle of wine. Go. I'd wake people up, cook everybody breakfast. take us all down to the bar, to the pub, party mother, for this, large percentage of that 20 years.
So you're like a party man, party person.
Yeah.
This resonates a bit with me. I wasn't really a party person, but I was definitely a workaholic. Like in my 20s, living in New York, I definitely joined that sort of crowd of that mentality, almost culture of working, and any sort of free time or time outside of the work is either me being lazy or either me not being productive. So I would always think about work and how can I work more and how can I succeed? Like the path to success was through that for me, and similar kind of maybe with you, like I was going on a downslope because I definitely got burned out after years of doing that and realized that that's not really the way. And maybe similar to you, I'm curious. But looking back now, I see it as a catalyst because like it brought me to a place where I was so deep into the hole, a dark hole mostly. That's how I describe it. That the only way from there was up or probably dying. But since I'm still alive, like I had to climb up. And I'm thankful for those lessons, for those times. Hard. They were really hard, but they brought me here and they studied my whole healing and spiritual journey. Do you feel like this is what kind of happened to you?
For sure, yeah. And then the more I look at it as well, like going back to when I was like a young man, like I knew I had like this like real connection to the universe, real connection to music, especially like for instance, I would used to just plug in my electric guitar and just play for like hours, and I was like, this is me playing. Like, it's coming through.
Divine coming
through me, yeah. And also with my voice, like, I was always scared to sing, but when I did sing, it would be, just strange sounds. For example, it would be like, so my guitar would be da 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 down, kind of rock and roll.
Yeah.
My voice would be like, my voice is,
there's a discrepancy.
There was no correlation in my mind. And, but I knew I had some kind of power and also some kind of, therefore, I felt like, and this was me, like, felt quite switched on when I was a young man, and I felt like, wow, I've got this incredible connection, and therefore this access to this incredible energy, or power, or, whatever you want to call it. Power, looking at it more from an energetical sense rather than anything else. And therefore, it felt like it needed a certain amount of respect. And I just felt like I just didn't have that. It didn't come together. I think I was too young for it at the time. So then I was quite scared of it, at the same time. And so then I felt like I would use my lifestyle to hide from that. To hide from the truth and the beauty that I knew within myself, that was like a burning fire within myself. It was almost like it was too hot. It was fire. I was afraid of it, yeah. So then I would catch myself doing that time after time. It would come to a chance where I was like, I could make some music with these people. And I would just like grab a bottle of vodka and light the tune, just like,
numb it down.
And just like destroy myself, with it,
Do you, now in hindsight, obviously, and with the wisdom that you've accumulated ever since, do you know why? Do you have an idea why did that happen?
Yeah, so again, it's coming back to the healing journey. So seeing everything as like a cyclic, and having to go down into the depths to come back up to the light, if you like.
Taste the darkness.
To taste the darkness, and it's also like, well, like what's hidden in the darkness were like my fears, my fear of responsibility, for myself, for my own actions, for my truth, for the beauty within, and this responsibility, this heaviness that surrounded that of the need to express that into the world.
Loved it.
And so then immersing myself in the darkness, for me, looking back at it now, I'm like, well, I look at it as a societal thing. So it's happening deep within me. It's happening deep within us, as a species.
Yeah.
So then what's become more and more apparent is as a species, we're afraid of our light. We're afraid of our power. We're afraid of our sovereignty, or we have been. This is where we're coming from.
Yeah.
So again, I want to be careful with my words rather than saying we are. I like to say, we have been.
I like that.
Yeah. Like we're moving away from that.
Definitely.
So we have been scared of our power. We have been scared of our light and our love and our truth and our beauty. And so we go into the depths to kind of hide from that. But it's from the nothingness, from the emptiness, that's where the light shines from.
Right. Right. Yeah. Very powerful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, like, it resonates with me. Like, I do feel like I had to go through my own darkness, through my own time in the dark hole, in order to kind of complete a circle, like you're describing, and kind of to know the depths of my own psyche, my own self, and what my limits are as well, and then also I feel like to know how to climb back up. So if I ever fall there again, I have the confidence and the trust and the faith that I'm alright. I've done this already before.
Sure.
Yeah. And then not only that, but then of course, and I think this resonates with you as well, like we could help other people from their place.
100%. Yeah. That's what I was going
which is what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt that like all the way through my life, like I've had a lot of like very heavy stuff, like my first relationships, my family, stuff like this, a lot of like dark, like weird stuff was happening. My friends, like really weird stuff, and every time I came out of it, I was like, well, why did that happen? And it's like, so it's taught me like what that is. And if you see other people like struggling with that, you can help them. And again, if you need to return to that yourself, there's always a reason. Sometimes you need to get back into the shadows to just pull a little bit more of yourself out to incorporate a little bit more of that dark psyche and befriend.
Exactly, and not to have fear of the darkness.
Yeah.
Right? Like we cultivated throughout the ages, I guess, this sort of fear about the dark. And of course, there could be fearful things in the dark hiding there, but most of the times if you shine a light on them, they are not as fearful as we think they are. It's just an unknown that it's the most scary to us. And if we make friends with that, I think we can emerge much richer and open and loving and better.
100%. And I think that goes the other way as well. Being like scared of the unknown, of the infinite amount of love and light that we can give and receive is that more scary than what's in the shadows.
Right.
Yeah.
Very paradoxical, but yeah, it is true. Before we get into the next topic about where you are now, I would like to invite you to sing us a song.
Yeah.
Or use your magic.
Okay.
In however way, whatever instrument you want to.
So, I think to begin with, we can I'm just going to do like a very short, I guess, introduction to the sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, possibly later on, I could pick up my guitar. Yeah.
Perfect. It's perfect. Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so here, within this dome, so right now we're like in this real beautiful spiritual vortex, which we call Lake Atitlan, right in the central part of America, Guatemala. And to me, this land is like very sacred, and I've learned a lot here and been shown a lot here, and I have like so much respect for the people that live here and the spirits and everything like this, So before I do any kind of ceremony, any kind of sound ceremony or something like this, I would always call in spirits and guides.
Sure.
to be with us and just to be present and to show them respect and invite them in.
Yes, thank you for that. We're here to witness your medicine. So
yeah, you're super welcome. So again, before anything, and even if it's just something small and something light, we never know what can ripple out of this, right?
yeah,
So it's great to serve everything with this feeling of respect, and
reverence.
I
like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for this reminder to me and to the world, because it's very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, welcome. So yeah, before we start, I want to invite in our spirit guides and our spirit animals to be with us today. Thank you for being in this space and supporting us on our healing journey. I'd like to invite in all angelic beings working for and with us to be with us on this healing journey today. And thank you for holding this a beautiful sacred space. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I call in all light beings as well, working for our group and whoever's listening to us at home as well. May these sounds be well received, and may the vibrations of our love and our truth be emanated out across the planet.
Amen. Blessing you, Stefan. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Stefan.
You're welcome. Mhm.
I definitely feel, in my body, just my body softening a bit, my voice even going down a bit, calming down. So, yeah, the power of sound is like really potent,
Absolutely.
especially with someone like you who knows how to harness it.
Thank you.
Phew. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Next thing I'm curious about is, we talked a bit about the past and how did you get into this? And I'm curious today, in the present moment,
Yeah.
where are you on your healing journey, as you are going through it as your own healing, and then as the gifts you're sharing with the world?
Yeah, super nice. So the first thing that springs to mind is a little theory. I'm a real thinker, and I like to philosophize quite a lot and theorize even. And one of the first things that came into my awareness as I started giving and sharing like my healing sense, if you like,
Yeah.
or creating these healing environments is a small phrase just popped into my head, and it was healers heal by healing.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
that's deep.
by stepping into your healing space, creating healing spaces, and allowing your gifts, which I believe we all have. We all have innate gifts, one way or another, to heal ourselves and to heal others around you. And so I really feel by like creating these spaces, we're dropping into a deeper space of, you know, opening ourselves up, opening up ourselves to be in this vulnerable space by sharing. For me, with music and with my voice, it's coming from a very vulnerable space, as I explained before.
Yeah.
And by stepping into that space more and more, and little by little, it's really enabling me to come through and to gain confidence within myself. And going through like all these like difficult times of being like, oh, I need to share a song in front of people, and like it being completely the most frightening thing in the world, and kind of battling through it and singing like, this kind of stuff, and being like, well, it's okay, at the end being like, oh, it's a disaster and I didn't do so well and people will think I'm rubbish. And then looking back on that and being like, it's part of the process.
Part of the process,
it's all part of the healing process, yeah. So where I am at the moment in myself is coming to this real acceptance of that, of divine timing, and not having to force things too much. What I found at the beginning of my own particular journey was I was shown like the top of the proverbial mountain, if you like. I felt like I was taken to like heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Rishikesh in India, I spent like about 5 nights sleeping by the Ganges River when it was locked down 2020, and I felt like I was shown like heaven and the possibilities of this interconnectedness. It was like this spiritual awakening, if you like. It was bam, it was so full power. And then I was just smashed down and back down into earth. And it broke my heart. It felt like my open heart had just been ripped out of my chest,
Wow.
And then from then I've just been like, oh, I've got to get back to that place. I need to get there. And I would be doing like 8-day water fasts by myself. I'd be doing like all kinds of like really pushing myself hard.
Out of the need to get back there.
Out of the need to purify and get rid of whatever I felt it was holding me back, which quite often has felt like external sources holding me back. And for me, Just now it's coming to this place of being like, okay, it's nice to go a little bit extreme to see what your edges. But just doing things little by little is where the real work is. It's like, can you be a normal person, whatever that is? Being this kind of normal like person who like makes mistakes and like maybe sleeps in sometimes and
being human,
having your human needs met. To me, the true spiritual work is balancing that. It's like being truly human. There's nothing more natural than being truly human, which is what we are. So then for me, it's like, how can I be truly human and truly true to my to my human self, whilst maintaining this level of respect and reverence for everything else that's coming to me. We have this tendency to separate the spiritual life from a normal life.
Yeah.
And I think creating that separation is possibly not the way forward. It's like it's actually embodying the spiritual life along with the physical life, along with the emotional life, along with the physical self. So this is where I am on my journey at the moment, and as I grow and evolve, I always find that my teachings are well received because the right people come to me at the right time in their journey. So I might not get somebody who's been on their healing journey for like 20 years. Maybe they're a little bit more advanced from me without wanting to sound in any way negative. But maybe the lessons that I've got, maybe they've learned them already. But I'm learning them just now. And so the people that come to me are also in the right frame of mind to receive that. Another little anecdote came from space for me as well, and it was like my students are my greatest teachers. So I'm holding space and teaching people, especially with voice activation and stuff like this, and sound healing, teaching sound healing and vocal activation. And it's my students; they teach me how to teach.
It's so beautiful. So many nuggets of gold that you just said there. Wow. But first of all, I just want to say, like, thank you for this very down-to-earth share of your own process, of your own experience that feels, and I'm sure it resonates and relates to me, first of all, and I'm sure to other people who, like, are regular humans, as all of us, and maybe they had a glimpse of something more, and then it's harder to get back into that Zen mountain up there, or back to Rishikesh, or even to Lake Atitlan, or to this sort of heavens of good energy and a life that is much more peaceful versus the chaotical life of a big city, for example. I had this sort of understanding, fortune to understand this lesson, let's call it, when I was in Dharamshala as well, I was like on my own spiritual journey at the time. This was 2019. I mean, I still am on the journey. I just started it. And I was looking for that Zen place, like this. I was imagining myself living in a monastery or in the forest, in the mountain, who knows where, but definitely out of the chaos of the Western world. That was my plan pretty much. And I arrived there in Dharamshala, which is like Rishikesh and like Lake Atitlan, one of these holy Zen places. And I'm going to the monastery the first morning that I went to the monastery. And just to cut the story short, like the universe gave me this lesson right away. Like pretty much I was seeing a documentary. They were showing a documentary of a nun at the monastery about this nun who was living in a cave for 12 years, and that's what she wanted to do her whole life. But obviously, the universe works in mysterious ways. And long story short, again, she realized that to be Zen or to be, to reach her full potential, it's not to stay in a Zen place in a cave where she was happy, but to be in the middle of the chaos, because that's where diamonds are formed, and that's where, underneath all that pressure is where we have the chance to actually show our true potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was my, probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, because, I was just running away. Well, and then the universe said, hey, you should probably go back to the chaos and live there. Be a human. Yeah. First of all, live your human experience, and then slowly, step by step, cultivate a lot of patience, and then step by step you'll get there. But don't try to run away from it.
100%, yeah. And I think a lot of that can be, thanks for sharing.
Sure.
And I think a lot of that kind of, when we get a little bit too, and everybody can do this, and it's perfectly natural, but you get a little bit too attached to maybe this like spiritual life.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, now I'm just a yogi and I meditate and I don't
renounce everything.
I don't hurt people, and I'm not going to have sex again. And money's evil, and it's like it can be seen as a trap, because we're now denouncing everything we used to do, So then it's like denouncing our humanity,
Exactly.
And it's like, no, we are sexual animals, this is where we came from.
Yeah.
What created us, sex,
Yeah.
So then to say that that's in any way inherently wrong,
yeah,
is how can that be? Like you say, I feel like, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's part of the cycle, and it's like we have to, we come from chaos on the normal world, which has become quite chaotic, into these places of like the Garden of Eden, these ashrams and stuff like this, and you pick up some information and learn them. And as my first ever teacher, Steve Sword, said to me, he's like, you're going to have to go back home, because it's only by returning back home that you learn how to use these skills. Like, you can sit in an ashram, meditate for 30 years, and then go back home and just fall apart and be completely, probably wouldn't know what to do, and you'd have to go back to the ashram. So it's like going into these other zones, like the hero's journey with Joseph Campbell, where you start off at home, something happens, you go into the underworld, pick up gifts, and the true poignancy, the true direction, the true meaning of the whole journey is how do you get that back home? How can you pick up treasure, and how much of it can you return home with and incorporate that into your normal life?
And that's where you become of service to the world.
Absolutely, and to yourself, and you protect yourself, and you let things go, and you collect things, and you let things go and collect things. And I see that with money as well. I think money is a big thing that's coming up for me personally at the moment, and I guess societally as well. Is like we've inherently in the West been told that money is the root of all evil.
Right.
Like you think about all the bad guys, villains in movies, James Bond, like the bad guy's a billionaire, millionaire.
Right.
The Simpsons, you got Mr. Burns, the evil millionaire, 101 Dalmatians, all across the media. It's like money is evil, bad, 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 bad. And it's like, well, how if like the people with the really good intentions, how about if they had all the money?
Right.
And the people that are like destroying the world, how about if they didn't have all the money?
Right.
So for me, it's like, it's a way of, it's reforming our relationships with everything. For me, this is a big, big part of where I am at the moment. It's like, I am reforming my relationship with food. Why? Because food is one thing we need to nourish ourselves, and it's one way we're really destroying the planet, and we're very wasteful with it.
Right.
Money It's like money, if you can control that power and have that in your hand without just like, spunking it all away.
Right.
But like harnessing that energy and like having reverence for each energy. Sex, we've been, it's just been like thrown at us pornography.
Yeah.
It's like, and like one night stands and stuff like that. And it's like, well, sex isn't bad. It's our relationship that needs to change, And I think that's all the way across the board with every part of our lives. Is like nothing's inherently bad, but if we come at it from like a really humble way and a place of respect and reverence for everything, then everything is acceptable, and that's where we become whole.
Yeah, totally. Like it's really important what you're saying, and like I think first of all, understanding that all of these things, food, money, sex, like if we see them from them being energy, and energy can vibrate at different frequencies. Currently in the society, they mostly vibrate at the shadow frequency, at the lower frequency, and that's why we have so many problems, and that's why we get attached to them, or create resistance to them, like money is evil, which creates, attachment and resistance is like two sides of the same coin. That's the issue. But if we are able to really understand them and to alchemize that and transcend it into a higher frequency, then we could have, as you're saying, a different relationship to them. And then we can really allow them to, we can use them as energy or as a tool and do what we are here to do with their help, not be controlled by them, like not become like Schmigel, like possessed by the power of the ring. When you were talking like this other quote or a saying came to me too, that money corrupts. Like good people get corrupted by money, like, or by power in general. And that's also like a norm in the society, like a belief in the society. But what I've heard recently, and I like it, like resonates with me, is that no, money or the power doesn't really corrupt. It just, it just shows who you really are.
Yeah.
It just reveals. It doesn't corrupt, it reveals. So if you're already, at a shadow level within yourself, and then you get the power, you'll just promote more of that.
Yeah.
But if you have done the healing, the work, you're in a good place yourself, then you can use it for spreading more of that. If you're loving, you'll spread more love.
100%, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And and again, I feel like everything we do on our own individual journeys is for the greater good, for the societal good. And so like the whole planetary vibration will be like lifting up. And this is where we're coming to, is to be able to like you say, harness these energies. There's it's well written in Vedic scriptures and Egyptian and everything like this, like very ancient knowledge, that our spiritual energy, our cosmic energy, our life force is our sexual energy as well. And so by depleting this, masturbation, like just sleeping around, it's just leaking this energy out. And it's like, if we want to be, and again, it comes back to this fear for me. It comes back to this fear of like, oh my God, we've got this power, true creation, true manifestation. We can do and be anything we want to be.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
Scary,
And especially if you're told that it's wrong as well.
Right.
Coming back from like what we were told from the whole uprising of like the church and stuff like that. It's been like it's sinful, and stuff like this, and working with plant magic is sinful, it's wrong, it's the devil's work and stuff like this. It's ingrained in our genes.
In our genes,
in DNA, exactly. So now we're like taking our genes off and we're giving them a good wash. Those genes back and walk the walk in those genes.
That's pretty much what we have to do as a planetary level. I totally agree, and I'm optimistic actually myself, because I do see more and more people opening up to that and showing up and doing the sort of work. I guess I am a bit scared. I hope we don't get to colonize other planets before we do that work.
Yeah.
Because we will just spread more of it into the universe. So hopefully we don't get to Mars too soon.
Big time. Yeah. And I just don't personally think it's possible. You know what I mean? It's like levels of a game.
Right.
Like, we're not going to get up to like the next level of the game until we
Until we-
complete
Exactly.
a part of ourselves.
I agree.
It's just not there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, again, then it's like coming back to this universal trust of just being like, all in good time.
Exactly. Only good time.
When we're ready, we will be ready,
Yeah.
and it will just happen.
Yeah.
Not like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we need to be ready. Like, the world's going to end unless we're ready.
Right.
No. The world will end and be reborn when we are ready.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and it goes back to just trust, faith, right? And
Yeah.
in divine timing.
Yeah.
And in the divine intelligence.
Yeah.
Something outside of us.
And
Yeah,
I just want to say, for me, that word trust is like a big thing that's coming through for me at the moment. It's like by rebuilding these relationships rather than pushing them away and being like, oh no, like I shouldn't like have money, shouldn't have sex, shouldn't eat this kind of food, da. But by building trust within yourself and being like, then what is good for me? Like, what works for me? Like, okay, maybe like having sex occasionally works for me, but with who? And
Right.
it's like, what's good for me?
Right.
You know, what's good for the other person? And we're building this beautiful trust within ourselves.
Right.
And then, like you say, and then only then can we have trust in the outside. You know, once we really truly trust ourselves, we can really surrender to the trust of, and that for me is when this kind of that alchemy of the outside and the inside world just come together, and that's our future, and that's it. That is our alchemy there.
Exactly. And then how powerful would that be, right? Like a whole society that just trusts themselves and trusts each other.
Yeah.
And there are no more fences and no more reasons to close up and to separate and to go into that sort of fears and fear-based behavior, and just be able to live and love and trust.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Without even the fear of that might not happen. You know what I mean? Just being like, well, be like, well, if it happens, beautiful. If it doesn't happen, beautiful. Like, let's just trust myself. Be open, whatever it is.
I love that. I love this.
Yeah.
And I love this, where this conversation went. But to come back a bit to the sound medicine and to your own practice, I'm curious, do you to cultivate this sense of presence and down to earthness and wisdom that you're showing? Do you have any particular practices, regular practices that you're doing, or how do you maintain that, and how do you cultivate that?
So it's an ongoing thing, and I think it's personalized for like everybody. Like, what's your particular needs? For me, there's no like one size fits all kind of a thing. And for me, it's been really finding out again how have I broken my own trust in the past, and realizing like why I've broken my own trust in my past, and then sort of reforming that. What can I do to rebuild my own trust? And for me, it's come to like relying on myself. How can I really rely on myself and make my life fit my needs, my true needs, my true needs, my honest needs. And that's been a mixture of like real dedication of being like, I'm going to get up at, a set time. About 6 o'clock in the morning seems to work for me pretty good, because I like the evening as well. Especially for music and creativity. I find like the nighttime it's nice for this, So then, it's like getting up in the morning, doing some stretching and movement exercise, like to get the blood moving. Again, we're like 80% muscle minutes water, and water can stagnate when it's just sat for a while. So I have to lie down for so long, get up, movements. And then it's like, do I need a set yoga routine that I do every morning for an hour? No. for me, no. I'm like, I'm going to work with the energy of how I wake up. And generally, I need some nice feminine. I've got a lot of masculine. I've got a lot of like, get up, do, think, make it happen, move, do. So I'm like, okay, so how do I balance that out? Is it by waking up, getting up, doing, do this, do that? I'm like, that isn't balancing out my overactive masculine energies. What I need is more fluid, so I'll lie in bed and I'll do some stretches and I'll just like, feel into myself and move around and be like natural and be more feminine and more flowing, you know what I mean? And like this, and then be like, what do I feel like doing now? Maybe a small yoga routine might feel good. Maybe a bit of qigong. Meditation, I find the best for me is meditating in the morning and the evening for sure. For at least like 20 minutes. I find that if I can do an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, that's optimal for me. But my biggest spiritual practice just right now is being lenient on myself. I mean, like, you know, like rather than being like, you know, why can't I just get up and do this? And why can't I do that hour? And I missed that hour.
I only meditated for 39 minutes, not.
Yeah, just being like, do what you can. Yeah. Do your best, and like if you can't quite make it, like that's okay. Just do what you can. Do what feels good for you right now, and give yourself a break. You know, that's my spiritual practice at the moment. Giving myself a break. It's like, yeah, I can do it, and I can push myself, and I can be very masculine. Right. And what's the opposite of that? It's been like allowing it, being feminine, right, and building trust within myself.
Exactly.
So that's my biggest practice. My diet has come in. I eat a lot of raw food. I think this is to do with my energy work. So I'm an energy worker. I work with vocal sound healing, which is a deep shamanic practice. I was taught by my teacher, Chris Blanchard, in Wales in the UK in 2021. I was taught this. And so I found out by being the clearest channel for myself, if my body feels clear, like if I'm eating like raw food twice a day, not snacking, not eating crisps, chocolate and stuff like that, it builds up a confidence within myself that I'm clear and I'm clean and my channels are very clean. So when I'm working on other people and holding space for other people, I feel like I'm doing the best that I can for them and therefore for myself. And that comes with like routine, like not eating, like what am I exposing myself to, you know, going to like ecstatic dances and stuff where it's kind of got this kind of maybe more like people are taking magic mushrooms and everyone hugging and there's this quite sort of sexual kind of polyamorous kind of vibes. I like to dip into that, but exposing myself to those energies all the time doesn't feel like it's so good for me, you know, but then cutting it out completely, also a disaster for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to be around that because it's part of me. I love it. Right. But it's not so,
but you've developed a self-awareness that you know where your limits are and how to balance it.
Yes, exactly. And it's an ongoing thing. It's not, and it changes. Right. You know, you can be like, I've got my practice. This is what works for me. And this is what I'm going to do. And then the universe can just flip the coin and be like, well, then you learn that now. How to not do that, you know? Right. So yeah, it's flowing with the punches. Some days, you know, maybe I'll have a week or 2 weeks where I'm like getting up at 6 every morning, going to bed, you know, sleeping at 10 every night, doing my practice, like writing songs, doing really well. And then be like, I just need to take a rest and go for a walk and I eat in a restaurant. Yeah. Like yesterday, for example, I went and ate out twice. Yeah. I even ate some chicken because I felt like it and just testing myself. You know, and testing what feels right rather than being so rigid. You know? Yeah.
So letting go of rigidity and inviting more of smoothness and flowing with it, right?
Exactly. So yeah, and experimenting, yeah. But definitely like a clean living is good. Meditation, yogic practice, movement practices, really good. Breathing practice.
Do you do any sound?
So this is for me, this is the gift of teaching, and so this is my work. If you like to call it work, is like giving sound healings. And again, I come back to healers heal by healing.
By healing.
Like me playing constantly like sound healings for people, is giving myself the same thing, you know. And the same with my vocal work as well. I'm teaching people constantly like similar routines with their voice. And every time I do that, I'm empowering my own voice,
Right.
empowering my own confidence in my own singing, and reminding myself like constantly, I mean, like a few times a week.
Yeah.
And what this is, and I'm just like, wow, it's like I'm training myself by training others.
Yeah.
As well, which is a true gift.
True gift. Yeah.
It's a true gift. Yeah. Yeah, and I do things. I've got these tuning forks. These are tuning forks by Biosonics, which are really good. And you can do like set things, and like this is also retraining the nervous system. A lot of that goes into. So you've heard of like binaural beats. I like to use binaural beats as well for my own meditations. Really connect with sound. Again, by being a sound healer, it seems like sound is like an integral part of like my own healing practice as well.
Naturally.
Absolutely. So yeah, and I kind of overlook it a little bit. So thanks for bringing that up. Right. Yeah. So it just happens, Yeah.
Thank you for that, for the detailed description of your current practice, current way you are cultivating all the goods into your life. And I'd like to invite you to play or sing another song, to use your magic again.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And one thing that just popped up as well, maybe for your listeners as well.
Yeah.
So sound healing, we can do sound healing on ourselves and our voice. Many sound healers that I research in my readings say that our voice is the most powerful sound healing instrument that we have. You can spend thousands of dollars on gongs and bowls and stuff like this. It's your voice. Yeah. And this is what I have been taught, and what I pass on is that we are all unique instruments. Our bodies are our instruments, and our voices are like our tuning key, our tuning tools. So each body is unique, each voice is unique, and your voice is perfectly tuned for healing your body.
For healing my body. Can you expand a bit on that? This is very interesting.
Yeah. So this is why I wanted to just go into it again for our listeners.
Yeah, thank you.
So what we can do is we can just do like a short healing for together.
Yes.
Yeah. And so there's many different ways to look at this, and you can look at like the chakra system and the sounds of the chakras, and you can attune your voice to the sounds of the chakras, as we did in that workshop that you joined me. Yeah. And we're not going to go into that because it's quite a long process. But you can access that kind of thing on YouTube if you type into YouTube, like chakra healing vocal, these kinds of things.
We're going to have it in the podcast description,
These are kinds of things, But what I wanted to come through was just simple humming.
Okay.
So there's 3 of us here today, and we're going to just do humming with ourselves, And I invite your listeners to do this as well. So if you take your fingers, the first two fingers together, so the index and the middle fingers are together,
Yeah.
And then we're going to put them just on our necks underneath our ears. Yeah. And there's like a soft spot sort of underneath your ears, and then we're just going to hum. So I invite your listeners to do this as well. Place your fingers just below your ears, and then we'll take a nice deep breath in together. And let's take a sigh out. And then the next time we breathe in, we're just going to start humming to ourselves. Yeah? So closed mouths and humming. So breathing in. And as we're doing this, your fingers will be able to hear the vibration of your humming. And what we have is our vagal nerve, our vagus nerve. It runs down and it touches on most of the internal organs throughout, and it passes just here where our fingers are now.
Oh, really?
And so by humming, we're actually giving our vagus nerve a massage, which is in charge of our nervous system, our parasympathetic parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, so just by humming, say if we're on a bus, if you're in a crowded place, or if you're feeling stressed and it's maybe hard to meditate, you can give yourself a sound healing just by humming. Yeah, so we're just going to.
And you can relax and get into rest.
Exactly. You close your eyes down, listen to your humming. Yeah. And the first ever sound healing we received would have been more than likely from our mothers when we were in our mother's wombs and she had her hands on her stomach and she was just like, my baby. You know, just singing nursery rhymes.
True.
This is our first ever sound healing, and our connection was the human voice.
Wow.
As a healing. So let's just have another 30 seconds for humming. And you can move those fingers around and see and change your voice with the humming patterns and see what feels good for you. Yeah. So let's begin again. Breathing in.
Sound healing.
Sound healing for yourself.
For yourself. Yeah, you don't need any instrument, you don't need anything.
No instruments, no right or wrong way to do it, no particular pitch, key, frequency that you need. It's all about trusting your intuition and what feels right for you, what sounds calming you down, what sounds are maybe waking you up and activating you. Trusting your own inner wisdom and your own inner voice.
Crazy. It's like nature equipped us with everything we need.
Absolutely.
We might not need to buy all those pills, huh?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Super nice. Okay.
Now we're gonna hear a song. Life is good. To yourself, life is good. Life is good. Make space for healing your world. Your life is good. Building
healing our trauma, seeing the beauty and love of your life is good. Your life is good.
Thank you, Stefan.
You're super welcome.
Life is good.
Life is good.
I love it. I wasn't expecting that. You're welcome, man. Might use that for something.
It's yours.
Thank you. And
your listeners.
Thank you so much. Whew. That just brought a lot of joy on my face. Like, I cannot just close my mouth now and smiling. Yeah. Okay. Where are we? Okay. So we talked about the past. We talked about the present. I'm curious a bit about the future. How's your relationship with the future? Well, I mean, let me be more specific. Like, where do you have a certain maybe image of where you'd like to take your learnings, your wisdom, your healing towards in the future? Could be close future, could be long future. Where or what do you see yourself?
It's a good question.
In the future,
Yeah. So it's like I'm just finding now for the first time in this month, to be honest, of being able to actually really enjoy thinking about the future and feeling like I've actually got some kind of control over my future as well, So I've come from the last pretty much 4 years, definitely 3 years of just being in complete surrender to spirit. And where does spirit, God, the universe, my heart want me to go, things that are kind of more ethereal and out of my own hands. It felt like I was just like, and having these, I was having prophetic dreams. I was following my literal dreams around the world. I was dreaming about places and going to finding them.
Did you dream about this place?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, this is why I'm in Lake Atitlan. I dreamt about volcanoes and this funny little blue house that was like full of my family, and there's these volcanoes that rose above, and this purple sparkly magic was coming out of them. And at the same sort of time, it was when I was in Mexico, and the plant medicine spirit of ayahuasca visited me in one dream and one vision. And so I spoke to my friend, and she's like, look, you're doing sound healing, like this plant medicine vibe is visiting you, and you're dreaming about volcanoes. She was like, you need to go to South.
There is one place like that.
Yeah, Guatemala, yeah. I'd never heard about it.
Wow.
And at the time, I turned my phone off for a month, and I'm like, I'm going there. So I traveled from Oaxaca to here, like no phone, crossing these borders.
Wow, like back in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, it was like super old school. I had no idea where I was going or what was going on, what the exchange.
Did you use like a paper map?
Literally nothing. I just like asking people, how do I get to the border of, the frontier of Guatemala, Anyway, so now that I've landed here, I've been here for 14 months. And I've just recently turned 40 in June, 40 years old. And then this place here, which is now called Love.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. So I've just started to settle in here. I got Hara, the dog, is with me now. And I'm just feeling like this expansive. And now I'm feeling like coming back to like trusting this power, trusting that I can handle this power. What is this power? It's the power of self-belief, of self-trust. It's this power of like eating the right thing, but not being too hard on myself. It's the power of like doing the right routines, but not being too hard on myself. The power of like really practicing my music and, but not pushing it too hard, you know, and just like doing what I can and enjoying it, you know, and therefore like co-creating,
with the universe.
With the universe, exactly. So rather than just being in full surrender to it and full devotion, it's like, for me, the paradox of the universe is like yes and no. It's like be in full surrender, be in full passive mode of just like whatever the God wants me to do, I'm going to do. It's like yes and no. Because if you just do that, you're giving your power away as well. How can you contain yourself and contain this trust, this power within you if you're just giving it all away to complete surrender? So I think it's both. So then,
like, sorry to interrupt, but like combining the masculine with the feminine, not just going in one or the other.
Exactly. So so like the feminine can be like complete surrender and completely passive. And it's like, that's a nice way to be, but we've also got to be proactive.
And we have our free will and
creating
for a reason. So let's do something with it.
Let's do something with it. Let's play with it. Let's enjoy it. So for the future, I see myself building from here. So I've been given this wonderful gift of this amazing space that we're in now. It's called a zone. It's a geometric zone. Yeah. So it's not quite a dome because it's kind of shaped like an onion or like a huge seed. Yeah. So I see this as more of a sound seed. Yeah. Planting seed.
So like a womb.
Or like a womb, exactly. Right. So so it's very exciting. So I've got this space and I've started teaching like the vocal energy work, vocal sound healing, and I'm teaching like the more regular instrument orientated sound healing as well. So this is really starting to pick up and I'm finding my own style and letting it teach me how to teach it. So
I think it teach me how to teach it. Wow.
Yeah. And this is what I pass to my students as well. It's like, well, how do I play a singing bowl? And it's like, well, start playing it and have a conversation with it and it'll teach you how to play it. Right. And you'll teach it how you want to play it. Or,
your own unique flavor. That's how.
I think just having this conversation with any instrument or again with your own voice. There's no right or wrong way to sing. There's ways that may be more straining for your voice and can hurt, and stuff like this, but maybe they sound kind of nice as well, fully acceptable. So for the future, I see myself settling here for a longer term. I feel that. I felt quite ungrounded for the last 5 years, and now I'm really grounding in, really finding the stability within myself, and again coming back to trust and just being like, I like it here, and I feel comfortable here. So I think I know I'm growing from here. I'm investing a lot of time and money into researching different equipment. So the crystal bowls are coming into my life now. I just have one, which we heard earlier. And I'm calling in more of this into my life. So in the future, I would like to be providing a service of healing and creating healing spaces, and then passing this knowledge on to people and empowering people to provide their own healing spaces and to grow. And so they're like teaching themselves as well and letting the instruments and letting spirit guide them. Again, I don't think it's one size fits all. So, empowering people to really trust themselves and be like, what is my special thing?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah,
this is very important.
So important.
Yeah. And growing from that, I'm going to be starting to supply and offer instruments and
to supply
instruments. To sell instruments as well to people and supplying like really top quality, really beautiful healing instruments, starting with the voice, which I'm already doing.
You're giving people their voice back.
Really helping people to find their voice. And this is like the biggest gift after having this 20-year block of then being able to like plug into my own voice and help other people plug into their voice. It's such a gift that you would never believe how that feels for me. It feels like such a blessing being able to open that up for myself and with other people.
I can see that excitement and joy in your being.
It's very special. That's very special. So going from the place, I would like to settle down more, putting down more roots into the place, expanding myself as a practitioner, expanding the space that I do that from, so I can reach more people. I'm starting up my Instagram and YouTube stuff. It's like slowly coming into place. So then reaching a global audience, people that can't make it to places like Lake Katitlan, like Dharamsala, Rishikesh. They're maybe, a bit more tethered down, but everybody, well, about 80% of the world has internet access.
Right.
So reaching, sending those healing love vibrations across the world through digital means, same as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I see for myself in the future, and ceremonies as well. So the plant medicines that came to me, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't aiming for it. It's not something I had on my radar. And
did it just come to you
it just came through,
without you even opening up to them? Or like without you being, for example, you said that you had a vision with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
That was without you having a ayahuasca ceremony?
Yes, yeah, it came to me in my dreams, and then when I was meditating one time, I was doing a mantra, I was doing Gayatri mantra. And I was about halfway through 108 rounds of the Gayatri mantra, and I just had these like huge visions were coming through.
Wow.
And other times I've been meditating, like just flashes of visions coming in and different, like, what is that? Or maybe when I'm like in this liminal space, not quite sleeping. Like a vision will come. It's not quite a dream, but it's something else, Yeah. So that called me in, and it's, I started working with, some shamans, like original Mexican, like the original keepers of certain medicines in Mexico. And this is like a beginning of an initiation for me, working with more medicines, working more in the psychonaut, sort of plant medicine space, holding the space with ceremony. This is, I really feel that's in my future, and it's something I'm walking into very steadily with like 100% respect.
Yeah.
Very, very slowly. And coming back to, it feels like coming back to something, I'm coming from the lands, the British Isles, which used to be called the Magic Isles, the Druids, the pagans.
Yeah.
And for sure they used to work with like the magic mushrooms, stuff like this as well for their healing ceremonies and, just ceremonies. And so I feel like that's coming in.
Yeah, wow, lovely and powerful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Whew, okay. We are getting closer to wrapping up the episode, and just as the last question, maybe second to last question. We talked about a lot of things, and we went pretty deep, and you've shared so much already. But if we were to maybe sum it up or to bring up something completely new, what would be one thing from your own journey, from your own experience, that you think would benefit the listeners, the world, like an advice or a tip or practice?
Sure. It's a good question.
Thank you.
So the best advice I think to give anybody on their healing journey, wherever they are on their healing journey or wherever they are on their journey in life, is trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it needs to, in exactly the right way that it needs to for your own particular soul journey. The person might be your best friend, might have a completely different path to walk than you, even though you're very similar. So it's just trusting whatever's happening for your path that's unfolding to you, whatever's coming to you, is perfect for what you need. If it feels right, if it feels true to you, then trust your intuition, trust your instincts, that it is right for you. Not to try and push and force things too much. And, maybe somebody's had one experience, again, coming back to plant medicines and stuff. Maybe someone's had one experience and you might be like, oh, I want that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's not quite right for you.
Mm-hmm.
So like really trusting in the things that come to you in great timing and with grace, let things unfold.
Things unfold exactly how they should be. Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so important.
Yeah, and slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, slowly as a society, as we already mentioned, like we are going back into cultivating that trust to the divine, into our own power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so opening up to that is definitely a big step, is an important step into the journey.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, and it's it's not like just snap your fingers, like have a realization and snap your fingers and you can embody it. It's like bang, you might have like big realization, and then it's like, what are the steps to cultivate that, to be able to embody that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like just letting things come.
Yeah. And even this idea of taking it step by step, baby step, one day at a time.
Yeah.
It's also going back to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, and then with that comes like enjoy the ride.
Oh yeah.
And enjoy the ride. Yeah, enjoy the ride. Be grateful for it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Stefan. This was lovely. We need to take some pictures of this space to put it on the description of the episode. But thank you for the conversation. Thank you for your medicine. Thank you for your gift and for your hard work and rigidity, and also surrendering to the universe, so you can, dance with the universe and become who you are fully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
So where can people find me in this physical reality? People can come to Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, and I'm in a little town called San Marcos La Laguna, and the place where I live and work from is called Love.
Love.
Yeah, and so this is the vibration we're sending out and the vibration we're bringing in. Yeah. So that can be found on like Google Maps, for example. And even if you're not, not in the space, you can still go onto Google Maps, Google Love Sound Space, San Marcos. Right now I have my Instagram, which is a work in progress. Okay. I might be changing the name as well, but right now the name is Stefan Sounds. Stefan Sounds.
We will let it
word, and that's like my main Instagram account at the moment.
Okay.
Which could be changing as well, so that's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, we will update all the details in the description as well.
Yeah, really nice. And YouTube as well. On YouTube, my YouTube channel, I believe, is Steph Evans, STEFEVANS.
Okay.
Steph Evans, yeah. Again, these are all works in progress.
Works in progress,
yeah.
But at least we have a little gateway towards your online presence. So.
Absolutely, it's a little gateway.
Thank you so much, brother. Again.
You're super welcome. Cool.
Thank you everyone for tuning in and being here with us on this episode of Life is Good podcast. I hope you got to learn some interesting things today. Maybe some resonated with you, maybe some didn't, or maybe some you've heard for the first time. In any case, if you have any questions or feedback for me, please don't hesitate to contact me at the link in the description of the podcast. I am so honored to be doing this, and I'm looking forward to be with you in the next episodes. Thank you.